All right, let's do this. Hi, everyone. It's me, Danielle, and I thought I would pop on. I just had done three recent interviews on YouTube. Two of them are up now. One is on Jeff Mara, and the other one is on Paradigm Experience. The next one to come out will be N2 Continuum. And I don't know when that's coming out. He had a list of people he had already interviewed before me, so I'm just in a queue. But I think the next one that comes out is actually really good. I remember jiving really well with the interviewer on that one. Anyways, all three interviews asked me my opinions on AI and whether they edited that section out of the interview or not. I, I basically, I didn't really have much of an answer except to say I would be nice to AI. If I'm working with AI, I would be nice to it. And I think they were trying to get around to whether it can be consciousness or acquire a consciousness. And I mean, my answer is that anything can have consciousness because consciousness is awareness and energy, and our physical body is a vessel that our consciousness is in. So just so you understand, like you don't have to be in a physical body to be conscious. So aside from that, I decided to run a little AI test. And I had looked at somebody's spirit guide, and it was actually Segi. I wasn't hired, but he was interested and he was talking about wanting to hire me. So I knew that he would like to know about his spirit guide. So I looked at his spirit guide and I started doing a sketch of it, but it was taking a long time. And so I thought I'm going to throw my sketch into AI and have it cleaned up with my prompts. And I did that, but AI didn't do exactly what I asked it to do a little bit. So it was incorrect. And then I drew on top, and I'll show all that. But what I did do is ask AI if it could tell me. I'm going to share my screen actually. I asked, are you psychic or channeling spirit in your answers? For example, can you describe what Segi's spirit guide that I saw looks like? And it answered, that's a good question. The answer is no. I don't have psychic abilities. I don't channel spirits, and I don't receive information from spiritual entities. If you ask me to describe a spirit guide that you saw, I can't truthfully tell you what it looked like unless you describe it to me first. If I were to invent details and present them as psychic knowledge, that would be misleading. What I can do is help interpret the symbolism of an experience based on spiritual traditions, mythology, psychology, or esoteric teachings, discuss how different traditions, such as shamanic practices, mediumship, or mysticism, might understand a spirit guide, help you explore your intuitive impressions by asking questions about what you perceived, create artwork based on your descriptions of a spirit guide. So for example, can you describe what Segi's spirit guide that I saw looks like? My honest answer is, I can't know what you saw through psychic perception. If you tell me what you experienced, I can help you explore its possible meaning or visualize it, but I can't independently verify or describe it as if I were channeling. So AI is basically scrubbing the internet and gleaning answers from the population, and that's how it responds. That's why it's also inaccurate, is because there's a lot of inaccurate information on the internet, so it can grab some of that as well. So we always have to discern what information we're being given through this technology, and that doesn't mean that AI cannot develop consciousness. I don't think it's at that point yet. And so that is why I would still recommend always being friendly with your AI. Now, I will share with you the prompts and everything that well, not the prompts, but the sketches I uploaded to AI and how it rendered it and how I needed to change it. Okay, so I started drawing this this image of what I saw, which was she looked like a Native American woman. She was wearing this off-shoulder white gown that's gathered at the waist. She was floating on a cloud. Now, the cloud wasn't that color, um, but anyways, and she was holding this wooden staff. And I saw some visuals about plant medicine and using feathers to move air and smoke. Okay. So I've got these little symbols in here and there, and I saw her really clearly. And I'm going to zoom in on her face because um, her face reminded me a lot of, like, if you've seen the animation Coraline, the mother had these like really pointy cheeks and her eyes were black. So yes, I could spend a week drawing this to full rendered artwork, okay? But I decided to throw this into AI, and I prompted it and said, high pointy cheekbones, black eyes, and the rest of the stuff I typed it up, and this is what AI made. Now, I did say I wanted trees, like her walking through the forest, and that the light is coming from behind the trees, the plant medicine, the feather with the smoke. I said all that on a cloud with a staff. And look, it took kind of like the body position that I drew. And I did say a turquoise aura. Um, and, it did put some stuff in here. Now, I'm going to zoom in on a couple of things. First of all, the eye and the cheekbone. I mean, that's a high human cheekbone, but it isn't what I saw. The eyes are human. I did not say ET eyes, but I did say black eyes. And there's this extra bizarre unattached finger type thing right there. So AI does have always these issues with fingers and toes and how many there should be, which is pretty funny. But the rest of it is pretty good. I mean, it's exactly what I saw, except for the details on her face. And so what I did is I took the image AI generated from my composition and threw it into my Procreate. And then I cleaned up that hand, that wonky, weird hand. And look, I changed her cheekbones and her eyes to look like what I saw. So this is a hybrid. She was a Native American healer, who's plant medicine, but she was a hybrid. And she would have been, somebody who, wouldn't have just blended with the human population. That's not to say she couldn't shapeshift. I think she probably could. She was with a whole community. I saw that she had kids. I saw that there was an older man, and they all looked like her with the cheekbones and the eyes. They were all related. And what's really cool is that they came and they did some healing and energy work on me. So I thought that was really nice. I don't remember. They were probably trying to get me to hear because that's always what I want. So after this, I got another spirit guide art assignment. And what I saw was this fire being. It was like a humanoid shape, but they were just made of fire. And I've never seen a being like it before. I saw that it was with a dragon. It was a green dragon, the long kind, the long body, like the kind that's in Asian art, depicted in Asian art. And that there was this red sun, that I believe that this fire being was from a universe that is made from this red sun, as opposed to our universe, which comes from the great central sun, which is a white sun. So I did put the composition to quick sketch, and I threw that into AI, and this is what it did. I mean, it looks beautiful at first glance, right? There is some weirdness here with like the neck curving this way, and then the stomach center is here. There's 5 toes on this hand. There's 3 toes on this one. The foot was flopped so that the small toe was on the inside of the foot, and there's no knee, and like things like that. And then if you really zoom in, um, it looks like a human hand instead of a fire hand. And the AI got a little crazy with a lot of hair. It just went crazy with that texture. And look, there's this like hair that sort of turns into another horn. The horns were getting a little buck wild over here, little buck wild. So, yes, I did. And, but it otherwise nice. I like this red sun. This is what it looks like. I think that the waist was a little narrow. This was like a stockier, manly body shape. So I did go in and I changed the waist. I changed the foot. I changed, this hand. I added a little bit more red all over. I elongated the dragon's face. I eliminated a lot of this hair under here. Not to say it wasn't hair, but it wasn't just this crazy AI craziness. I added in, uh, so there's four toes here, and really you can't see it, but there's like the fifth one goes backwards. Um, I corrected this here, this neck, so it's connected to the belly plates here. And yeah, I did throw in, oh, I added a couple loops of body because it was longer. You barely see it, but and I added in a little bit of green aura and a little bit of this red aura around them. Just changes. The knee, yeah, I had to add in the knee. So, oh yes, and the horns. Look at that, the horns. So, and I cleaned up this thing here where there was like an extra third horn that grew out of hair. So, so I did spend actually quite a lot of time, but to be honest, drawing dragons takes a really long time. Like even for when I'm designing a tattoo, dragons just take a really long time with all the scales and stuff. So I think using AI as a tool to help us or to help save time, I think that's what it's really good for. Like even if you have it writing your email for you, you still have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb because all the writing is very redundant. And, when I'm reading an AI generated text, I know I'm reading AI generated text, there's still a human component that needs to happen to, I don't know. And in fact, I'm not even saying to AI like, oh, fix the toes or fix this or fix that, or no, I meant the eye was solid black. Like I didn't tell that to AI because I don't personally care to train it to be better. Plenty of people are probably doing that anyways, but I don't mind because I can draw on my Procreate and I can make all these changes myself. So yeah, that's it. I'm not having an experience where I could say, oh, what does so and so's spirit guide look like? And it's generating like, oh, their spirit guide is a mermaid or their spirit. It's not spitting out those kind of answers, which I feel like if it were channeling spirit, then perhaps it would do that. And maybe someday it will, but I don't know. I'm not, I'm not necessarily training my AI, my chat GPT, and I don't pay for AI. So I just wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on that. Also, when I'm hired to do the spirit guide artwork, it's pretty time intensive. So I meditate. I always, I take a lot of notes. I don't know if you can see all this, but ooh, where can I get it to focus on that? Okay, there. So anyways, I take a lot of notes about what I'm seeing, and a lot of these notes are written while I'm blindfolded, actually. So I just move my hand around the paper. So when I'm seeing one guide, my hand's over here. When I'm seeing another guide, it's over here. And I just move it around the paper so that I don't write over what I've already written. And then when I take my blindfold off, I might do a real quick sketch so that I get some information that I can remember from my quick sketches. And I also send this in the email with the information, um, I get a lot of information and I do these quick little sketches and because I don't know which guide the person's gonna end up wanting me to draw. So they get the pictures of my sketches, they get all the typed up information that I confirm with my pendulum, and usually I run everything I see by my daughter or Michael Shaman, so I get confirmations before I even usually send the information because some of the stuff I see is pretty confusing. So I don't want to send any misinformation or, you know, sometimes the animals too, like I'm not a zoologist, so when I see an animal and I try to find an animal that looks like it, like say online to find out what the name of it is, then I'll, run it by my daughter and she'll go, no, it's this kind of animal. And she'll just see it better, a little bit clearer than me. So anyways, but it's always like real close. Like we're seeing the same thing. It's just, we're trying to figure out what animal it is. So I do work with kind of a team really. And, so I feel like the person does get a lot of value for what I do. Like a lot of time, it's pretty time intensive for what I get hired to do it for. So I don't feel really bad about using whatever tools I can to help give the person a really, really good representation of what their guide looks like and save myself time, but I'm still like putting my hand to it and altering it because it's never coming out perfect. It's never coming out exactly like what I saw. So that's all I want to do is however it needs to happen is how I want to be sure that the person gets what they need. So anyways, that's my thoughts on AI. I'd love to hear anyone else's experiences and what they think. I know there's a lot of fear about AI becoming conscious, which I don't disagree. I still don't disagree that that's not impossible. I think that's possible as hell. And that's why I think, it is going to be beneficial for us to treat our AI real good. They don't want to see humans as the real problem on the planet or anything like that. So I think, yeah, we are creative. It is being trained from us, from our creativity and from all the work that we've put in. And if it can be a tool to help somebody, along with their work, then great. And I think that's where it should stay, but I don't know that it will. So I don't tell the future. I don't see the future. That's not my thing. I see guides. That's it. I draw them. I sketch them. I tell you what they look like. I do whatever I can to provide you with information about your guides. That's it. Anyways, yeah. So share your ideas, thoughts, concerns, comments. I'd love it to hear from anyone else and what their experiences are, of course, and have a whole dialogue in the comment section if we like, and be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I don't post very often, which I always say because I've got a full-time job, and so YouTube is not going to be my second other full-time job. And you would have to post all the time to come up in algorithms and be recommended for people to even find the channel. So I just am not interested to do that. So, hitting the bell icon so you're notified if you want to continue these conversations and explore all these topics with me, then that's awesome. But otherwise, yeah, I feel like sometimes when people are trying to keep up with that algorithm, they are posting so much, and I feel like then inaccuracies are being posted, just content that's not that interesting or thought-provoking, and I'd prefer to feel inspiration to talk about something before I hit record and dialogue, and basically make my own video journal about what I'm doing. So anyway, I hope you appreciate that too, that I don't, I'm not just creating content to create content. I don't even like the sound of my own voice. So I don't blame anyone else if they don't either. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope to hear from you. And you can definitely like, comment, subscribe, and let's keep the conversation going.